Mr. Budney.
Yes, I will take this one. This has been, for me, a long time coming, and despite some news on the RTA, it's still, I think, timely. I'd like to propose a resolution as follows. Whereas the Township of Grosse, and I should read this first, and then I just want to.
Yeah.
Whereas the Township of Grosse opposes the Regional Transit Authority, Southeast Michigan, RTA, 1.2 mil for 20-year property tax increase to create a mass transit that does not connect or benefit the township. And whereas the township opposes the RTA master plan because it only benefits a select few communities in Wayne County, and whereas the township opposes the RTA because the authority was created by the state legislature without a vote of the people or a vote of local governments impacted and or involved, and whereas the township is opposed to the RTA because impacted communities cannot opt out, and therefore the township receives little or no benefit from the RTA program, and listen to this one, whereas based on a 2018 taxable value at 1.2 mils, the township's estimated tax would be $726,545 for the first year, and over the 20-year millage, an estimated total of more than $14,530,900 would go to RTA. A residence in Grosse Township with a taxable value of $200,000 will have a tax increase of $240 per year for 20 years. And whereas 65.62% of Grosse Township voters gave clear and resounding no vote against the Regional Transit Authority tax in November 8th, 2016 general election, and now therefore be it resolved that the Grosse Township Board of Trustees rejects the RTA plan that would tax Grosse Township property owners against the will of the Grosse Township voters, and be it further resolved that the Grosse Township Board of Trustees strongly supports any plan and legislation that would enable Grosse Township to opt out of any future RTA vote and tax. A copy of this resolution shall be forwarded to our Wayne County Commissioner, state representatives, and to the chairperson of the RTA.
Okay, moved by Trustee Budney and seconded by Treasurer Vanoss. I'm finding this resolution problematic in that in the first 1, 2, 3, 4 bullets, you state the Township of Grosse opposes the Regional Transit Authority. We don't know that yet. And your second one, the township opposed the RTA master plan. We don't know that yet. It hasn't been gone to the residents. Number 3, the township opposes the RTA because we don't know that. The fourth, whereas the township is opposed to the RTA because we don't. That hasn't been voted yet. However, your fifth one.
Well, and I. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The fifth bullet. Whereas this is just fact based on that is a factual statement, and then the next one, 6, that's a factual statement. Therefore, be it resolved, rejects any plan that would tax Grosse against their will. I fully support that. And your final, further be it resolved, strongly supports any plan and legislation that would enable Grosse Township to opt out. That's right. A factual statement. The first 4, though, are suppositions. I don't think I want that going out under my signature as a resolution when we don't know. When the voters get a chance to vote, we'll know. We don't know right now. And your statements are, we know what the voters feel. We think we do. Probably got a pretty good idea, but we don't know.
And I'm gonna ask Mr. The Township Manager Dale to help me out here.
Thank you, Mr. Budney. The historical information on the 2016 vote was an actual vote of the Grosse taxpayers. So that, when I helped assisted in putting this together, that's why, and that's what that's based on. It was a
previous
67% against.
And you are correct that and as of last week, we found out that the regional transit authority tax is not going to be on this November's election as we all thought it would be. But they were quick to say that it'll probably be back next year. So it's not something that's going away. It is important to note that the opt-out, that the taxes that they're talking about, those figures are correct. That is what we would be in approximately paying. $14 million for Grosse voters to be paying over a 20-year period, but that's $14 million, that is out of people's pockets, and
Yeah, my only
yes,
concern
I
is the
understand.
first four statements.
And should we then we need to.
Could I offer a friendly amendment
Yes.
to delete the first four whereas and pick it up with whereas based on the taxable value, whereas 65.2. Those are factual statements that can't be challenged.
I'm thinking is the first one not well
How do you say
since the RTA isn't going to be there this year, that 1.2 mil could change.
Also, so again,
Yes,
I
you're
would
right.
think that in all of those paragraphs, we could probably delete everything past the RTA and safely say that the township opposes the authority because we've had no input in organizing or setting up that authority. And that authority is taking actions against or charging, I won't call it against, but in opposition to Grosse's beliefs. So I personally am against the authority, no matter what they do. That's right.
Well, and if you want the English teacher's input, shorter is sweeter. I think that you can have the same force if you take out the ones that are suppositions that
Okay.
people might argue over.
I have no problem. What I would like to get is that we have some resolution from Grosse opposing, supporting an opt-out.
I think that's what most of us are looking for.
You can always decide on that, but I certainly think we should have the ability to opt out.
Well, and because just having this conversation with some family members and some residents familiar with public transportation, even though you could argue, I live with argumentative people. You could argue that it has an indirect benefit to the community. Even if it doesn't stop on Grosse, if it gives people an opportunity to say drive 5 miles to a
The theoretical is
right,
all over the
it's all-
place.
and so I think that's where Supervisor Loftus is saying with these suppositions, you could argue till you're blue in the face, but with the facts, they're the facts. I am a long-time proponent of public transportation, but at the same time, we have a county asking us to help fund a project for which we will see no actual physical benefit when we are very likely going to have to raise our own funds to repair their roads. And I'm saying, how are we gonna justify that?
Right,
At
exactly.
$240 a year, if a resident is voting between one millage or the other, I want them to be voting for a Grosse millage that repairs our roads as opposed to some ivory tower concept that might indirectly benefit us.
Fletcher?
For the record, Mr. Supervisor, two things. First of all, I don't have a problem with you signing your name to anything. It is your name, and God bless you. But most importantly, I look at the numbers that Mr. Budney has put out there. $726,000 a year translates into $1,989 a day. That's a lot of limousine. Rounded off for 2,000 with a tip. That's a lot of Uber, and that's a lot of baloney. I don't see where we're getting the benefit of it, and I frankly applaud whatever the final language is, but I think we should stand and be heard on this, that we're not going to spend almost $2,000 a day and not receive a benefit when our roads are falling apart. And when the taxpayers look at coming in November, I'm glad to see this is not on the ballot. That's all I
Okay,
have.
where we are is I've offered a friendly amendment. If the board approves the amendment, we delete the first 4 items. If
I
they
have a
don't,
question, please.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tom.
Whether this board, and don't get me wrong, I'm opposed to this legislation. I'm talking about the RTA in general. But whether this board approves this amendment or this action item as written, or we approve an amended action item, just so that the question is, just so that the residents are very clear, would this automatically opt us out of the no? So the fact that we approve this or something like it it's not a
No,
an automatic.
No, it's not an automatic because we don't have the power or authority to opt out of it. What we're doing is the state legislature right now has opt-out legislation that they're looking at. We're sending this to
Yes,
we're sending it to them to know that, so they know we
I just
are
wanted
in
to be
favor
clear
of that. Yeah,
that it's not an automatic.
no, and if in fact opt-out legislation is passed, we will have to opt out. It's not going to be automatic. We're going to have to take the action to opt out, but we want that ability to be there. So that's what this. I mean,
It would appear that by Wayne and Oakland County putting up enough resistance, which is probably the reason the RTA was not going to be on the ballot. That'll leave just Washtenaw and Wayne, which it's going to be very difficult to overcome their vote. But we'll see next year or the year after.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's not going to be on the ballot this year. We're not going to vote. The people are not going to vote on it this year, but they've said it's coming back. So the legislation is still there. The state is still working on it. I mean, you think about it. When was the last time before the action was even passed? The legislature was already there working on an opt-out. That's amazing to me. But we should. I believe I'm certainly in favor of having that option available to us. And I don't know how I would second your friendly amendment.
Okay, thank you. So let's begin there. Those in favor of the friendly amendment to delete the first 4 items and just leave the last 2 whereas statements and then the final resolution. Those in favor of that friendly amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, so it is so amended, and there leads us to the next thing. Those in favor of approving the resolution as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None offered? Got that cleared up? Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Budney. And I
Just
guess
want to make one extra comment. I think someplace in the revision of this thing, you ought to put opposition to the Regional Transit Authority's ability to tax Grosse.
at the title.
Because I don't believe that authority should have that authority to tax Grosse.
With that, Mr. Supervisor, I will excuse myself.
Mr. Buddy, yes.